Yo, what is good, my brothers? This is Enemy Stand User. Do I even need to say anything? At this point, Gege Akutami will never miss. This chapter was absolute fun. Maki is unstoppable, unshakable, unyielding as a character. She is really proving Mai's wish to be true, to destroy everything, as a number of elements are debunked and confirm that Maki and Toji are much stronger than one might initially think, and Maki has entered a state of peak where she is considered a god of war in this translation. Also, Naoya's domain was cool and powerful as well to see, but that's besides the point. So today, let's dive into chapter 198 in the Sakurajima Colony part 8. Let's go. The chapter kicks off with Naoya deploying his domain expansion, Temporal Womb Moon Palace, which is kind of a direct kanji translation. It'll probably be different in the official, but as we can see and we get the vibe that this is a very deep perception-based domain, and Naoya is fully realizing his ability at maximum. And what I notice about this form is that he keeps his bottom half as this cursed shell, and his top half is very human, although he is a cursed spirit. So he may have actually changed into this to perform a signature Buddhist hand sign, and we see this seal that he's performing is actually like Mahito's lower Gegeiten Mudra seal, which represents God eating human klesha, a state of unwholesome destructive emotion and negativity. It's very fitting for Naoya, right? And Gege Sensei always comes in with the details. And this domain is pretty majestic in a dark way. This is like the final destination of the curse techniques path, and both Mio and Daido are trapped, awestruck by this magnificent domain. Immediately we see this is a type sure hit, sure kill variant, as they are hit by various animation frames all at once. Initially, it looks like nothing occurred, but if you notice closely, the technique entered their bodies. Their natural reaction is to strike Naoya while they still can, but the moment they moved, their bodies internally ruptured. This technique has the same laws as projection sorcery. The targets must move at the same frame sequence as Naoya or suffer the penalty of being frozen for 1 second. This domain's technique targets the victims at a cellular level. Every cell becomes the curse technique's target, and when they move out of alignment, their body begins to rupture, like the cells have been jolted out of place, causing explicit damage. We see Mio just tap completely out, and one wave of this technique got these strong players absolutely shook. Naoya is loving his power, chock full of arrogance, as he wonders where Maki is. Even at his peak inside of his own territory, Naoya is just a little bit concerned why he hasn't picked up on Maki yet. Daido tries his best to attack, but Naoya's technique actually causes his cells to rupture so much his arm lopped off. And Naoya is just so disrespectful in this moment and impatient as he sets his attention on Maki's absence. But while he's thinking, Maki was able to get the sword from Daido's severed arm and stab Naoya in the back. Man, stabbed in the back again by a woman a second time. That's very ironic for Naoya. But now we finally get some context on zero cursed energy users in domain expansions and barrier techniques in general. Because Maki and Toji have no cursed energy, barrier techniques treat them the same as buildings or structures. Unless the barrier uses a physical object as a shell like Megumi's gym domain, or unless she agrees to the condition or intentionally invades the barrier, Maki cannot be trapped inside a domain. So barring certain conditions, Maki has some domain immunity. If you notice, she materializes in the barrier after she touches and stabbed Naoya with her cursed sword. So without cursed energy from the blade, she didn't exist in that barrier. Barriers are absolute separate spaces, so conditions matter. Toji was regarded as the invisible man inside Tengen's barrier, so he slipped by undetected and hid his tool's residuals inside of him. And now Maki is like the invisible assassin inside this domain. What's very nice here is that we get another cinematic scene with Maki and her sister Mai standing at the bay holding hands. Maki was now able to see it all. The sword she held was like her sister's will incarnate. Even if she was used by some sneaky old man, as Mai puts it, she wanted to show her that power, and Maki fulfilled her wish. You really were able to destroy it all. The sword Mai created was a replica of a cursed tool called Soul Liberation Blade. It ignores the hardness of everything and cuts the soul directly. But to use it in full, the user has to have eyes that see the souls of inanimate objects. And Maki has reached this level of awareness, and this is getting pretty deep here. What I love that this freak Naoya just snaps his neck to turn around, and he actually thinks he won the battle with his sure hit attack. His body begins to contort, and Naoya is truly seething himself as a cursed spirit, rambling about Maki's limits, and he couldn't even finish cursing her as Naoya is about to consume her. He is a spirit after all, so he technically could eat her, but in his arrogance, Naoya was split in half by Maki's soul-cutting sword. The same attack Daido unlocked, and the domain's sure hit effect had no way to recognize Maki, who has no cursed energy. Defeating Naoya again, and the domain's barrier shatters. Daido and Mio barely made it out alive, and now another human has left it all behind. Another fierce human on par with Toji Zenin has been fully realized. The God of War reborn. Wow, just wow. That was some pretty peak Maki Madness, as she has entered the ranks of the strongest. And not only that, but now it's confirmed that heavenly restricted zero cursed energy users do not get recognized in barriers barring certain conditions, and will not get hit with sure kill techniques inside of domain expansions. So that's a really huge revealed buff on their part, and I understand that it's a big debate with Maki and Toji versus barrier techniques, but now we know for a fact they are immune to automatic sure kill / hit effects. Toji got trapped by the Ana curse because he was forced into agreeing to the domain conditions by answering her question, and then he proceeded to overpower the technique himself with his strength and using inverted spear of heaven after he saw how the technique worked and how things were working out. And Toji was the help in Shibuya. Megami or no Megami, Toji slapped the shit out of Dagon with his own power, his own curse tolerance, and his own body. Of course, they both need tools to fight curses, but this is a really serious revelation, as Maki literally is looking like a god of war, ready to take on anything, even against the peak of sorcery. I think Naoya is very much dead. This is where his story concludes, and I want you guys to think about, what did Naoya contribute as a character? We all knew he was going to be murked by Maki, and he's too disconnected and irredeemable to be left alive in the story. And it looks like Mai confirmed that his death, as well as Maki destroyed everything. Maki is not a player, so Naoya's points might be void, or we may see things wrap up next chapter with a final blow. And Naoya had some serious competitiveness to his aura. He had some serious top tier power, but awakened Maki defeated Naoya with relatively low effort. Her power is true and real, and she has overcome every rival of the Zenin clan. She killed all of her haters when you think about it, and can only go up from here. It's awesome. But damn, do y'all remember that guy Kamo? Like, I think Gege even forgot who Kamo was, but Gege just really loves trolling and putting Kamo in the background. He didn't have one panel this chapter. Not one, not a reference, nothing. So I think he'll get addressed next chapter in some transition or another. That would make sense. And I think we are now edging out the beginning phase of the arc and will enter a new stage of the Culling games now that most of the colonies have climaxed and our sorcerers have enough points. I believe they collectively have 400 points now between all of the sorcerer players. So I think everyone will start converging together and that gets me excited for Gege's plans for the future. Before I end it though, what did you brothers think about this and the Colon game so far? Because I'm seeing some very sus takes on Maki's POV and Gege's Colon game arc writing in general. And it saddens me a little bit when fans and newcomers are not able to understand or are not patient enough with Gege's style. But everything Gege sets up makes complete sense if you are caught up, if you really read and think about what you've read, and even reread certain segments of the story. Gege does not hold your hand in this series. He makes you think, he makes you dwell on powers and abilities, character growth, and certain themes like freedom, justice, deceit, and death. Some things we interpret on our own. And Maki has a theme of her own and a theme with her power. And Gege subtly lets us interpret these themes because it's been with her entire life, and we've been reading about it in her inception in the story. And I think we are smart enough and patient enough to understand it, and even understand what Naoya's purpose in the story was too, if you open yourself up to that line of thinking. Because if you're extremely critical and you're nitpicky about things and miss some things because you skim through the story or you misinterpret stuff, then I feel you'd be missing out on some insane development Gege is setting up. And people can hate and criticize all they want. That's perfectly fine. But sometimes I look at the comments and I just think to myself, man, Ghetto was right about these monkeys.
I don't want everyone to breathe in the monkey smell.
The only series I've seen get slandered for doing literally everything right given its short debut. Characters can have 2-3 chapters worth of development and still be some of the most peak banger characters in shonen. In all seriousness, I appreciate you guys. We just reached 4K subs. I'm excited for what's coming up next. This week was awesome. We got an awesome new chapter, new possible trailer for season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen anime coming Sunday the 25th, so get excited. Things are awesome right now. And I'll see you brothers in the next one. You guys take care. This has been Enemy Stand User, and peace out.